Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Better Bots. Today, we're going to be talking about how to add custom SMS and email providers to your GoHighLevel CRM. So there's two very important steps we have to take care of. First, the first step is make sure you've watched the other video on how to set up a GoHighLevel OAuth application. It's going to be necessary for us to do what we're going to be needing to do today for adding custom providers. Step two is make sure that if you had Integromat, which you needed for both of these scenarios, you need to switch everything over to Make. So Make purchased Integromat. Congratulations to the owners of Integromat. But we had to change over the billing. A lot of this stuff is different on the back end. So make sure you change everything over before you start on this. It'll just save you a bunch of headaches. And once that is done, let's go ahead and dive on in. All right, so here I am in the same app from my previous video, building a GoHighLevel OAuth app in 30 minutes. And so you can see the only scope I have here is message read only, and I have the redirect URL, my Twilio reporting, client keys, and my Integromat webhook that I have here. So the first thing I'm gonna do in this situation is I'm gonna add the scope for conversations message.write. That way I can insert messages, and make sure you save it. If you don't save it, it won't work. So we got message.write and message.read only. And then now the important thing that we want to do is here under conversations providers, we want to go and add an extra conversation provider. So I'm going to click create conversation provider. This name is going to be Gmail. The type is going to be email, and the delivery URL is going to be my Integromat, now Make, formerly known as Integromat. I'm going to copy this webhook, and I'm going to add that sucker right here into the delivery URL. So now what's going to happen is in this Twilio Tracker app, every time somebody sends an email from a sub-account connected to this app, it will use this webhook to send that email rather than trying to send it automatically through Mailgun. And that's only for email. So let's see what this actually looks like once we get it connected. All right, so I'm back at my Connect Your App page. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And yep, it seems that it does understand that I'm doing Twilio Tracker. So that's the app that I want to add. And now I'm going to add, let's say I add my DAS account here. So I'll add that one. And now you'll see that it also says it's going to add an additional conversation channel. And it's going to be an email channel named Gmail. And that's the email channel that I added before. If I had added an SMS provider, it would also show that SMS provider right here. But we're just doing email for this case. So I'm going to go ahead and click proceed. And then great, it's going to automatically take me to my redirect URL, which should then fire this integration. And we can always go and check our history, check the most recent one. So this is the most recent one, it looks like. And it looks like we got a 200 OK, and we did get a bearer token. So this account is now connected. So now we have that sub account connected. So let's go ahead and change into that sub account. And if I go to the settings of that account that I chose, and I go to the SMTP and Mailgun services, you'll see that my default provider is now set to Gmail, and it is a custom provider. So what that means is anytime I send an email out of this account, it should send a post request to my my Make webhook URL. So let's go ahead and test that out really quick. All right, so as long as I have this delivery URL set in my marketplace settings here under the Gmail delivery URL, so as long as that is set there, to test this, all I got to do is go to the conversation side, choose an email to send to, and then click send. And as long as this is listening to determine the data structure, we should get an email sent to this URL at just a second here. And I'll send a second one just to double check. Awesome. So we've got our determined payload structure. So we're going to move on. And now the next module we want to do is going to be a router, actually. So the first thing we want to do, we want to check flow control and check to see what is the type that came in. So let's say if it's an email, then the type here should be equal to email. Otherwise, if it's SMS, then this will be SMS, and the condition will be type, which I did not mean to do that. It needs to be type here to SMS, just like that. Perfect. So now, depending on which type it is, will determine which email or SMS provider we send it to. So from there, we're going to just go here, and I'm just going to search Gmail, and I'm going to send an email. And I'm going to choose, let's say we're going to go with this one, sure. And to add a recipient, all we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to say email to, except it's going to be email to 0, the very first one that we get. So the first row of email. And then the subject is going to be whatever the subject is that we got. And then the content is going to be the actual HTML that we got from the email. So that is everything. And then if there is an attachment, if you plan on saying attachments, you can use that attachment, of course, to add it there. You have to do a little bit more mapping. But just to get the HTML, basic HTML sent to your end user, this is all we need. So then we'll click OK. And the next thing you got to do is just save this, run it once, send another email from here, and then just make sure that the data comes through. All right, so it looks like we did get our test run that we were just checking, that we were just testing with. It did follow the email path, which is what we wanted. And it does have a successful bundle output. So if I go and actually check that email, you can see that it did actually send that this is a test email from my GoHighLevel account, except it actually was sent through Make, formerly known as Integromat, and did not actually use Mailgun or anything like that. And if we want to just look at the difference, I actually have another email pulled up. And when we look at it from like working with the Mailgun side, a lot of times you'll end up with this kind of error, like this kind of message saying like, hey, this name is similar to the organization, but it's not the same. Or this domain is sent from a different sender than what they say. Whatever it is, this can sometimes be an issue. And with this solution, what you can actually do is in this router, you can say if it is email, you can add another router to say if the email that is sending from is equal to this email, then use this Gmail account. Otherwise, use a different Gmail account based off of which connection it's actually coming from. And same thing with SMS as well. You can choose which number to send from depending on which user ID or which account it's being sent from in GoHighLevel. So that's how you can actually connect SMS, your own SMS and email custom providers now. So great job to the GoHighLevel team. And the next step from this really would be to just add a watch step. So watch for new emails on that inbox that you send from, and use the auth token, which in our scenario, we're not actually saving the auth token for this location ID, but what you would do to take this a little further is you could just add another step right here, another module to save this auth token right here, to save the actual response auth token that you get with the refresh token and the location ID. You could save all of that in a database like a spreadsheet or something, for example. And then whenever you get a request like this, you can actually look up that location ID and look up what the access token is. So that way, if you want to send a message through the API, you then have the permission to do that. And I'll make another video on how to actually send messages that are received outside of GoHighLevel and actually send them into GoHighLevel as well. So that way you can have a truly omni-channel presence. So if you like this, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos in the future. And if you have any questions or confusion, please feel free to leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching, guys.